Hi everyone, welcome back to another week of the Saskatchewan Physio Project. This week we're going to be discussing upper back mobility and strengthening. As you should know from the past few weeks, we've been talking about proper posture and alignment as well as lower back pain. But we feel that while our videos in the past have been helpful, if people don't have the necessary upper back mobility and chest mobility as well as strength, you're not going to be able to maintain these proper postures for very long. So that's what we're going to be discussing this week.
Yeah, basically today we're going to take you through a couple of stretches to open up our chest and shoulders, as well as a little bit of exercises for strengthening our upper back, just to kind of help again with the forces of gravity and just keeping that upright posture. In this first stretch that we're going to be doing, we're going to be focusing on stretching our chest. So what it's going to be is a little bit of a behind the back chest extension. So Chris is going to take his hands, place them behind his back, a little bit higher up to start, and then he's going to slowly move his hands towards the ground and focusing on opening up his chest towards the sky. And one of the things we want to focus on here is not hyperextending the lower back. So if you would show what I'm talking about there. So that's hyperextension in the lower back. So we want to make sure that we have that nice and flat and just focus all of our stretch up throughout here. So that'll be the first one that we're going to do. You can hold that for 30 seconds and do it 2 to 3 times throughout the day. The next one that we're going to be doing will be wall-assisted or door frame-assisted stretch. So what that's going to look like is Chris is going to take his arm, place it along the wall, and basically open up away from the wall. So in this exercise or stretch here, Chris has his thumb tucked into his hand and placed along the wall like so, against the wall. And he's just focusing on pulling through and stretching the chest. And you can hold that again for 30 seconds and do it 2 to 3 times throughout the day. You don't have to do both per se, but find one that feels comfortable for you and try and do it.
Great. This next set of stretches that we're going to be doing is a stretch for the rear shoulder and a stretch for the tricep. So Adrian's going to be our lovely model here. Firstly, we're going to be showing a stretch for the rear shoulder. So Adrian's going to be bringing his right arm across his body, and with his left arm he's going to be helping to pull that right arm even farther across his body. If he turns to the side here, you should ideally feel a stretch right here in the rear part of the shoulder. An important point to note for any stretch, it will feel mildly uncomfortable, especially if you do lack a lot of mobility. However, it's important to note that you shouldn't feel any pain when you're stretching. Discomfort is okay, pain not okay. So with any of these stretches, you want to be holding it for 30 seconds to a minute. The next stretch that we're going to be demonstrating is a stretch for the tricep muscle. So this is the muscle that you're going to be finding in the back of your arm. So if Adrian just turns to the side here, you're going to be bringing your right arm up and bending at the elbow, trying to touch your hand to your upper back. In this case, Adrian has quite good mobility, so he's able to do that. If you can't, though, that's not a problem. We're not interested in stretching any other muscles other than the tricep. So bringing the left arm up and over, he's going to be left arm up and over. He's going to be pulling that right arm back towards the back of his head, and he should be feeling a stretch in the tricep muscle here. It's important to note that in this stretch, people who lack the necessary mobility to do that might be bending in the lower back, obviously to compensate for that. We want to try to avoid that because the only muscle that we're actually interested in stretching here is the tricep muscle. So again, hold that for anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, making sure that we don't feel any pain with that. Discomfort is okay, that's what we expect, and that's the second stretch. Up next, we have an exercise to strengthen the upper back muscles. So again, Adrian's going to be demonstrating this. And for this exercise, we're going to be using a tight elastic band. We found that these are available in some of the gyms that are within the Saskatchewan buildings, so hopefully you have access to these. So we're going to be grabbing the band at a reasonable width so as to maintain a proper resistance, and we're going to be pulling or thinking of pulling our elbows towards the wall behind us here, and we should be feeling a nice tight contraction in our rear shoulders that we stretched previously, as well as the muscles between our shoulder blades. We also want to be thinking of bringing our shoulder blades together. Think of squeezing perhaps a tennis ball between your shoulder blades during the contraction. and then relaxing. So this is a view that we have from behind of the exercise that we just discussed. As you can see, Adrian's going to be pulling with his elbows, and think of bringing his pinkies towards the back of the wall. The rep and set scheme that we're going to be doing this is 10 repetitions and 3 sets. So you're going to be doing this exercise 10 times, taking a break, and then repeating that 2 more times.
Okay everyone, so for this last strengthening exercise for upper backs, we're just going to get Chris to demo against the wall here for you. He's just going to be taking his hands overhead a little bit here and bending at the hip, not within the lower back but actually at the hip. So he's just going to be sticking his butt backwards. What he's going to be doing is he's going to be taking his hands from in this position and taking them off of the wall. So just lifting them off the wall. So he's just using gravity basically as a resistance, and he's strengthening throughout here in his upper back, kind of the muscles around our shoulder blades, just to control the range of motion that those move through. So you can do that 10 times for 3 sets. Thanks to everyone for watching this week's video. Before we send it off, we'd just like to give you a couple of goals for the week. Myself, I'd like to ask you to try and do some of those strengthening exercises at least 3 times. It's going to help us fight the forces of gravity pulling us into this flex posture that we keep talking about, and help maintain that upright back position.
Lastly, for myself, I'd like all the staff to try and do some of the mobility exercises or stretches that we demonstrated. As well as strengthening, increasing our mobility is extremely important. We want to maintain strength through the greatest range of motion that we have possible. So stretching and doing some mobility exercises is going to help to maintain or increase that, and it's going to help with posture as well. So that's my goal for the week. Thanks for watching.